Okay, welcome everybody. Today I just wanted to go over a sample student it's argumentative essay a few semesters ago. As you can see here, the year is 2019, listed on the header on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go line for line almost. I'm going to correct some of the problems with this essay. This essay, I can't recall the grade. I'll give it a grade once we get to the end of this lecture. When I get to the end of the paper, I'm going to read it aloud, and I'm going to correct the problems with it to make it an A paper with regard to the rubric that we have in our on our Blackboard page on the left-hand side. You'll see that that really helps us understand what a professional university or college level essay should look like within an English class. Um, the, whether it has sound MLA, this paper has some good MLA. It also has some bad MLA. If you remember, MLA was the Modern Language Association. They dictate what the formatting style, what a paper should actually look like. That's all that formatting style means. MLA formatting style for an English class should look a certain way. And I'll point that out as we go. All right, so right off the bat, there's some problems. This is fine. It says student's name, great. They would have their full name. I don't need your middle name, but your first and last name. And student's last name up here with a space, and then the one, the page number. And that page number should increase with each as the I am able to scroll through the paper. So it does. It goes to page 2, 3, and 4. Uh, this essay is 3 to 4 pages long, or sorry, 3 to 5 pages long. That's the stipulation, correct, for this class. Double spaced. Um, and it has a works cited page, but the works cited page um, it doesn't count as part of the page count. So if you do a 3-page essay or if you write a 2-page double-spaced argumentative essay and turn it in for your final draft, and then you tack on the works cited page and you say to yourself, well, that means I have 3 pages, a 3-page essay. I've met the minimum threshold that the instructor for this class has outlined. That would be erroneous. That would be wrong. That would be an error. It doesn't count as part of the page count. So if you write a 5-page essay, you're going to have 6 pages because you're going to tack on a works cited page. All right, so this is fine. Student's name, this is double spaced. Everything looks double spaced. I'm not going to take a ruler and compare them, but this looks close to the spacing. So I'm going to go with it. My name, class, that's great. You can abbreviate it ENGL, space 252, or write out English. That's fine. This is incorrect. The date is incorrect. Uh, we, first of all, if we don't have punctuation within the date, should be 19, then November, spelled out. Oops. And then space, and then the full year, not just 19, but 2019. All right. Then we get hit one return or enter on your keyboard, and then we get the title of the essay. All right. And the title of the essay is methodical, meaning that you should title it something that has to do with the actual content, what the topic is of your essay. And this does harm reduction for illegal consumption. Not sure, 100% sure what it means, right? So it's kind of ambiguous. Maybe this individual should have titled it something that's very direct. We can see right away. Maybe they should have done that, where we can see right away what their argument is. What side of the debate do they fall on? And remember, it's very integral and paramount even that these argumentative essays are on topics that are highly debatable. This one was on a topic that's very debatable, and it's very relevant in terms of its time. It's very contemporary argumentation that's going on here because this is a relevant topic. The idea of should we have consumption sites within our neighborhoods, right? Within our communities. So this individual shows something that's not ancient history. It's very real. It's in the current. It's a flashpoint with terms of argumentation in our contemporary times. So I applaud this individual for doing that. So let's take a look at some of the good things, and let's take a look at some of the problematic things within this essay. I'll just read it line for line. Supervised consumption sites are a new initiative in harm reduction that allows drug users and a safe and clean environment to consume illegal substances. All right, great. The Canadian government state. Well, let's back up a second here. So the first line sort of explains to us what this thing is. It doesn't take for granted that I know what a supervised consumption site is, right? So it tells me it is a place where a drug user has a safe and clean place to consume these illegal drugs. Not legal drugs, but illegal. So that's a very important stipulation in defining it. And then they're going to give us a quote of what the government defines it as. The Canadian government states Quote, supervised consumption sites are part of a long-term, comprehensive approach to addressing the harms associated with problematic substance use. And then we get ellipsis because they're jumping time in the paragraph. So I would tell them, I'd advise them to do this. Make that a lowercase p, put it in brackets to show that you changed it to a lowercase p, and then it flows much better with the actual formatting of the sentence, right? These two sentences that they smash together, which is you can do. Associated with problematic substances use. Gosh, I would even just start. We can clean this up. Just take this out and use has. Start with has. There we go. And this flows better. Supervised consumption sites are part of a long-term, comprehensive approach to addressing the harms associated with problematic substance use. We'll put an and in here. We're putting in brackets to show we added it. And has devastating impacts across Canada or individuals, families, and communities. It is a complex issue. There is no simple solution. All right, then we get the end of the quote, the direct quote they got from the government website. They have their in-text citation, and then they have the punctuation afterwards. That's correct. They have the punctuation afterwards. It tells me this in-text is associated with this quote, this direct quote. Don't put the punctuation over here. Put it at the end. And there are some problems here with this in-text citation. The issue is it's a government website, so there's no author, so we can't put an author's last name here. In the absence of not having an author's last name for our in-text citation, we have to use the title of the website. Sorry, the title of the article on the website. They're using the title of the website, not the title of the article on the website. So that's wrong. And closer would have been putting this into quotation marks as well, which they didn't. So if we scroll ahead to the works cited page, and this is exactly what I'm doing, I'm grading your final drafts for the argumentative essay. I'm looking for government website, government Canada, that's fine. This should have been the first thing we see on the in-text citation, and that corresponds to this entry on your works cited page. It should be supervised consumption sites explained. So remember, we're going to cut out. It's not going to let me. Government Canada, I'll just back up. This was the name of the article on the website. So that's the first thing I need to see here within your entry for it. And then Government of Canada right here. This is incorrect. They have it italicized. And it should not be italicized. It should simply be quotation marked. So I'll take the italics out. And then I'll quotation mark it. Now this is correct. That is a correct works cited entry. Now I need to go back and correct here we need to correct this. Every major word in name of article, title of an article needs to be capitalized, right? Now this paper is getting closer and closer to being a really good paper, properly formatted. Now this is correct. Now remember what we said when there's a long title? This one has 4 words, supervised consumption sites explained. You could drop this last word in the in-text citation. It needs to be the full title of the article here. But now we're just go back and we're right, supervised consumption sites, where it said Government of Canada. Right here. It's not going to let me correct it. Edit citation. There we go. There it is. It populated it for me. Sorry, I never use this function on Word where you can. It's not going to let me delete it. I'm not 100% sure how, but this should be supervised consumption sites, all capitalized, every major word, and then quotation mark. Then that would be a correct citation. All right, let's just continue. The goals of supervised consumption sites are to reduce drug use, decrease the spread of diseases, reduce overdoses, educate, and provide drug treatment services. Supervised consumption sites are a way to decrease the stress of emergency medical services. I'm not sure why they capitalized the E, the M, and the S. unless that's a private name of the company. Unless if they're just speaking generally on just on EMS, you could just lowercase it. Then we have which will also decrease the use of public medical centers and emergency rooms from drug users. The idea of supervised consumption sites is harm reduction for drug users and non-users. So here again, everywhere that is red, underlined red or blue in your essay, word is most likely right. It's correct. So just it was asking for a hyphen there. So I just put it in. Just pay attention to that and you can correct it yourself. Reducing health and social harms from society. The first Canadian supervised consumption site, called Insight, open, so they have open, present tense. It's in past tense because it's 2003, so just pay attention to that mistake. I'm not sure why that wasn't flagged by Word. In Vancouver in 2003 due to the HIV epidemic and the significant increase of overdoses. All right, so this whole paragraph is defining what these supervised consumption sites are and then telling us what they are, giving us background information as well, right? We have to know how prolific is it, or is it prolific at all? So here's their in-text citation. This has some problems. Like this one, you never put years. According to MLA, we don't put years within our in-text citation. That is strictly APA. We're not doing APA. That's for science, right? So Thomas Kerr, that's the author's full name. Why would you put the author's full name in the in-text citation? It should just be Kerr, right? Without a year. So let's go to the works cited page once again to see if it corresponds. Somehow this formatting got messed up. It should be double spaced, right? Thomas Kerr. So this is wrong, right? It should be Kerr, comma, Thomas. All right. Now it's closer to being correct. Okay. Let's go back to the body paragraph. All right. So this should just be Kerr. I'm not going to change it. It's probably not going to let me. No, it's not. So just keep it that. When you ask someone about their opinions on safe consumption sites, the first things that come to mind are violence, expensive, encouragement, unfair, and not in my backyard. The idea of not in my backyard stems from the idea that supervised consumption sites creates violence in the area the sites are located in because drug users users will all be in one area. However, drug users are all over the city and province. Supervised consumption sites make illegal drug consumption safe and clean. So it sounds to me like, remember, this is an important component, an important element of our argumentative essay, is to have a counterpoint. And it sounds like they're addressing the counterpoint here. Typically the counterpoint, and I'll give you the option. You would have seen this when you were reading the chapter on argumentative essay, but you can go point for point throughout your essay, so each paragraph will offer your main point that you want to make at the beginning of the body paragraph, and then at the end of each paragraph you would show a counterpoint. You would say, yes, there's another side to this argumentation, although that might be that this other side exists, you have to also refute it, right? So you can see it does exist, and then you refute it. And it sounds like that's what this individual's doing here. Instead of putting it at the end of the essay, which is an option 2, instead of having a counterpoint at the end of each paragraph, I would suggest just do it once right before your conclusion, and that'll check the box for me that you included a counterpoint or a counter argument. So their counter argument is not in my backyard mentality. And so we get it right here. The idea of not in my backyard stems from the idea the supervised consumption sites creates violence in the area the sites are located in because drug users will be in one area. So they're saying, yes, there is an argument out there that this is a bad thing, but not so. She's this individual, I think it was a female. Now she's saying, yes, I understand the other side of the argument. However, so strong turn here, we get drug users are all over the city and province. Supervised consumption sites make illegal drug consumption safe and clean, decreasing needle sharing diseases, overdoses, and safe disposal of needles. Throughout this essay, so now the first body paragraph, the introductory paragraph of this essay, giving us background information, defining what these things are, these safe consumption sites. It's distilling all the way down now, and that's good. This is what it's supposed to do, to a thesis statement. What is this essay going to be about, and what side of the debate are you going to land on as the author of this essay? It's very important that you tell us that we know it from this thesis statement. Let's see if we get it. Throughout this essay, I will be explaining. We try not to include anything to be, right? I will explain. works well, right? I will explain the importance of supervised consumption sites by looking at the decrease in diseases and overdoses and the increasing numbers of drug users in treatment, and overall why it is important for the government to continue funding the sites. This should just be a comma. You're just listing things, right? A series of things that you're making that are going to be your points that you want to make within your essay. Drug use is devastatingly impactful to our society. That is why. So now, individual is smashing two sentences together, right? Without any punctuation, so a run-on sentence. Now you can use, whenever you put two full sentences together, use a semicolon, or just start a new sentence with that. Drug use is devastatingly impactful to our society. That's a full sentence. That is why it is important to continue to look and support solutions to end this travesty. That's a full sentence too. So I'm going to join them together with a semicolon. Or as I said before, put a period here and start capital T for that. Start a new sentence. Both are perfectly permissible. Okay, supervised consumption sites have significantly decreased the spread of HIV and hepatitis. So this individual, they listed the points they want to make. They summarized the points they want to make within their thesis statement. So they're going to talk about the decrease in diseases and overdoses. And they start with that point. They go in the same order they listed them here in the summary. Here, right? They're going in the same order, which is great. Do that. Supervised consumption sites have significantly decreased the spread of HIV and hepatitis, which are both, so this should be a comma, which are both, most of the times you have which, it's going to have a comma in front of it, which are both transmitted by blood, making needle sharing one of the leading causes of the disease spreading. The Ontario HIV Treatment Network states, InCite is predicted to avert up to 84 new HIV infections annually. SIS's safe injection sites can prevent the spread of bloodborne infections, including HIV and HCV, hepatitis C, and can therefore decrease the burden on the healthcare system of extensive lifetime costs associated with these infections. The annual cost savings as a result of HIV infections prevented at InCite are estimated to be between $2.85 and $8.55 million. And here's their in-text citation. There's a few problems here. This is a big quote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. So whenever you have a quote that's 4 lines or more, you have to create what's called a block quote. Look it up, what a MLA block quote is. It'll give you the rules. The main rule is you set up your quote with a colon. You take out your quotation mark. You hit enter. You tab over twice to show that's a block quote. The whole body of this needs a tab over. There you go. The block quote ends here. So that's a new paragraph. And then we take out, like I said before, we take out the quotation marks. I know it's a block quote because it's tabbed over. The whole it looks like a block, right? A square or a rectangle. So that's how you know it's a block quote. And then the period ends here, and there's no punctuation after. That's the difference as well, right? There's no punctuation after when you do a block quote, after the in-text citation. All right, so the in-text citation looks like it has some inherent problems. Ontario HIV Treatment Network, 2014. As I said before, APA includes dates. We're not going to include years or dates within our in-text citation. We never include punctuation in MLA in-text citations within this English class. We just don't do it. If we do, it's only because we use et al. If there's 3 authors or more, we use et al. To abbreviate that. Use a period. Ontario HIV Treatment Network. So this is incorrect. That's the website, title of the website. The actual title of the article, when you don't have an author, is what you use in your in-text citation, right? So it should be this that comes first. What is the effectiveness of supervised injection sites? So I'm not going to correct it, but I would shift this over here and take Ontario HIV Treatment Network and move it over here. So I would just swap these two out. And then I would put quotation marks around it to show that it's a title of an article on a website, not the title of the website. I can't tell if they have it italicized. I would take that off, and I would make every major word capitalized within the title. All right, let's go back to where we were. So we have the block quote. That's great. I would say use those with great economy, meaning don't use them a lot because they start to take up a lot of space. and all of a sudden you're assembling people you're quoting someone 3 or 4 times, and that's really written your essay, and it needs to be your voice infused within this essay as well, right? And not just throwing together 5 block quotes and boom, you met the 3-page threshold, which we don't want to do, right? So be judicious in terms of incorporating block quotes. Maybe 1 if you want, if you really think it has everything to do with what you're argumenting on behalf of. And this does. This has to do with how it's reducing disease. In fact, it's reducing the disease to the tune of an actual number, right? And she gives us that monetary number. The reason that these diseases must be contained is that there is no cure and they can lead to fatal organ damage. Both HIV and hepatitis can be treated, so the disease is not contagious. That is why, so she's joining 2 sentences together with a comma. I can't do that. That's a comma splice. So just add a semicolon. I put a colon in. That is why it is crucial to test drug users for the virus and provide treatment. Supervised consumption sites are a clean and sterile environment that dispose of needles after each use. Again, she's joining 2 full sentences with a comma, which is called a comma splice, add a semicolon, or start a new sentence. Here, on this one, let's just start a new sentence. There we go. They also teach users the correct way to dispose needles, safe consumption sites. I would capitalize these because you're capitalizing in the abbreviation SCS. So I would just follow suit and parallel that here. Just making the essay stronger and consistent. SCS, safe consumption sites users, were 69% less likely, so just give us a quote here, see the quotation mark, direct quote, less likely to share needles and syringes compared to those who did not use the SCS. So this is wrong, right? Because we get ND. I don't even know what that is. I'd have to go down to, looks like Arkell's, right? The last name of the individual. I'm not sure what this ND is. I would not include it. You maybe include it here, but don't include it in the in-text citation. I don't even know what it is. I probably wouldn't even include it here. This is correct. If you have author is what you see at the beginning, then the name of the article that they read, the title of it. So I would tell them take out ND, take out the comma, because we don't put punctuation within an in-text citation in an English class, right? And then put the period right here, right, to close out, to let me know this Arkell in-text citation goes with this direct quote. Overdosing is a rising epidemic in Canada. So remember I said comma with which has a devastating impact on society. So if you don't want to use comma with which, take out the which and the comma and put that. It's either you're going to use which or that, whichever one makes sense in terms of how the sentence flows. And does it pass the ear test? Does it sound correct? Overdosing is a rising epidemic in Canada that has a devastating impact on society. I think which works better here, comma which, but we'll just go with that. According to Katie, Canada's source of HIV and hepatitis information. So before when she had abbreviation for for an organization, safe consumption sites, she put it in quotation mark, or sorry, she put it in parentheses, right? The full name. Here's the abbreviation, SCC, safe consumption sites in parentheses. But she didn't do it here. So I would recommend her doing it. According to Katie, right? We're just going to put parentheses around it. Information. Here we go. And then you can either put a comma here or a colon to set up the quote. In 2016, there were 2,946 opioid-related deaths in Canada. From January to September 2017, there were 2,923 opioid-related deaths, representing a 45% increase compared to the same time period in 2016. These overdoses were accidental and did not have the intent of suicide. So Arkell again, take out the ND, take out the punctuation within the in-text citation, and then it's correct. But let's see, did she meet the threshold for line count that dictates that we would use a block quote as opposed to just a regular quote? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it's 4. It should be a block quote. So take out the quotation marks. When we indent over, we know it's a block quote. And then when the block quote ends, it did right here, start a new paragraph. There we go. And take out the quotation marks here. Period here. Take out the period here. Now I know it's a block quote. You always set a block quote up with a quotation mark, or sorry, with a colon, which we have right here. This information indicates that the illegal substances have been laced or mixed with another toxic substance, making the drug stronger. Supervised consumption sites provide drug users with drug checking methods to detect adulterants such as fentanyl test strips, and also have healthcare workers on staff who are ready to respond in case of emergency. These sites make it easier for emergency response to locate an overdose compared to a back alley or behind a dumpster. Clients at Insight state that they believed the service saved lives. Many had personally experienced an overdose at Insight or had witnessed a friend overdose. In all cases, clients reported that Insight staff intervened swiftly and competently and ultimately averted deaths. They also, so she's joining two full sentences with a comma. That's a comma splice. I'm just going to start a new sentence, capital T. They also report, it's past tense, so stay in past tense, all your verbs. They also reported that they have seen, we see it here, that's fewer overdoses in the streets. So this should be the name of the article, narrowed down to the first three words in quotation marks in parentheses. We know that Ontario HIV is the website she went to, and not the title of the article. And I know that there isn't an author, so you have to use the title of the article. The final goal of supervised consumption sites are, so it's underlined, right click on it, is, sites is to provide, so is the verb that goes with goal. The final goal is to provide treatment programs, so it should be is, for drug users that are willing to seek treatment. These services are, so we get a colon, good, she's setting up a list, drug treatment, counseling, withdrawal management, detoxification, and housing services. So government Canada, we know that was wrong. Along with providing nurses and healthcare aides, supervised consumption sites provide social workers and community workers that have knowledge on numerous community programs, from decreasing drug use to housing services. The evidence taken from Insight shows that 75%, so a quote here, direct quote, 75% of Insight clients reported a change in their injecting behavior as a result of using their services. So this is underlined, but it's just, I think my Word document is American, that's why it thinks it's the wrong spelling, but this is the correct spelling for Canadian behavior, right? Yeah, it wants to correct it to the American spelling of behavior. Another study found that 23% of respondents who had been Insight clients had stopped injecting by the end of their study period, and another 57% had entered addiction treatment. Okay, great. So we know this in-text citation is wrong, but because they included a date, which we don't do in our in-text citation, and they used the title of the website as opposed to the title of the article in quotation marks in parentheses. So what she's doing to create an argument, when we speak about argumentation, how we build sort of our argument around this, the substructure is through data. Hers is completely driven by data, by statistics that she pulled off the Canadian Stats website or Canadian government website, right? That's one of the greatest ways to argument. Those are objective truths. Numbers are, right? It's not opinion. It's not an opinion that having these consumption sites saved an estimated $2.85 to $8.55 million, right? That's something that was tracked. It's objectionable truth. So let's see how they end it. So therefore, supervised consumption sites are a start to decrease illegal drug use by providing treatment and education. All right, concluding paragraph. In conclusion, supervised consumption sites decrease contagious blood-borne infections, accidental overdoses, and overall decrease drug use by providing treatment options. So she's summarizing again. That's what you're supposed to do in the conclusion. Summarize again your points that you made, the journey you've been on. Now, and she's probably going to give a call for action. I think that's an important aspect of an argumentative essay. Is now that I've given you all this information, I've proven to you through statistics, through raw data, that this is true. You go forth and do good things and change other people's minds like I changed yours. Right? A call for action. The Canadian government needs to continue to support supervised consumption sites to get illegal substances off our streets. The argument against having a supervised consumption site in your area or not in your backyard does not make your community safer, when in actuality, having a supervised consumption site makes it less likely to find a needle in your actual backyard. Supervised consumption sites are a step in the right direction for harm reduction. So it's sort of a call for action that exists there. I don't know why this went from single space or to double space to single, but let me see if I can correct it. And I just right click on it, go to paragraph. It's not even, yeah, it is. Oh, line spacing, double. I always click these, see if that does anything. There we go. But there we go. Now I got to bring it up, right? It can't be all this white space that existed there. So I'm still going to bring it up. There we go. Now it's correct. And these need to be fixed, right? If it shouldn't be the name of the website that comes first. If you don't have an author, they do have an author here, but if you don't have an author, it's got to be the title of the article that you read that comes first in quotation marks, not italicized. Same with here. You got to shift this. What is the effectiveness of supervised injection services over, and then flip-flop the Ontario HIV Treatment Network to go in its place. This one's sort of almost correct. Anyway, so they built this works cited page within the Word document. You can do that, right? Or you can go to what I like to use is EasyBib. Also, there's Purdue OWL. You can Google Purdue OWL MLA. It'll take you to, you can use Purdue OWL. It just gives you the rules. But they recommend going to Citation Machine. It's a website. Go to Citation Machine. Even the Medicine College Library lists Citation Machine as a place to go build your works cited page. Once you get there into EasyBib or Citation Machine, it'll ask you want to do MLA, APA, Chicago. What formatting style are you going to use? In our case, MLA, right? You choose that. You copy and paste and drop into the website the title, the web address. Hit enter. Look at the information. You have to verify the information that's correct. Then hit enter again, and it'll create the works cited entry, and it'll even tell you what the in-text citation should look like as well. And then you just copy and paste that into your Word document at the end on your works cited page. In this case, it's their 5th page. Make sure you title it works cited. It's plural. Capitalize W, capitalize C, enter. Make sure each entry on your works cited page has what's called a hanging indent, right? This space right here, this space right here, this space right here, right? In order to do so, you highlight everything, you right click, go to paragraph, go to special. You have none, you have first line, you have hanging. Hit hanging, and then hit OK. It'll give it a hanging indent. And that shows me that they're separated, right? They're not all just smashed together. It's hard for me to understand which differentiate one from the next. Make sure it's in alphabetical order. They aren't. Notice curs right here. Curs, K comes before O in the alphabet, correct? All right, so some good things about this essay. I think the writing's okay. The argumentation is good. Argumentation is very good within this essay. That elevates its grade. The formatting and the MLA formatting and the in-text citation corresponding to an entry on the works cited page was not that good. It feels like they just didn't spend much time focused on that. And that would bring the grade down, I would say, to a B level, because the MLA gets in the way of the actual content of the essay. And there's some formatting issues, some punctuation and grammatical issues, run-on sentences, comma splices, things we need to avoid when we're writing college papers. Things we need to avoid and hopefully perfect by the time we get to our final essay within this class. Okay, email me if you have any questions, guys, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you. Bye.